Welcome back, guys. Still on the same topic, things no one ever told you about being a mum. Still on set with me is Falake Shibiotimo and Buki Kadiri. So right, ladies, just before we went on break, we were talking about whether or not men have it easy or whether or not the society has just, we've allowed the society to place on these many responsibilities on us as a mother. So you guys have talked about how you're doing this, you're doing that, you're drowning. And frankly speaking, we're on the same boat. Now, I don't know whether the men actually think about things like this or whether or not they worry about the things we worry about. So do we think men have it easy?
I don't think so. That's my perspective. Okay. I'm grateful to have a supporting husband, and I am thankful for that. However, I know not all women have it easy. I'm not saying I have it easy, but I have a supporting husband. So we decide to share the chores around the kids. We have a routine in place. So i.e. in the morning, getting them up, getting them to school. I take responsibility for that. But then in the evening, after school, say homework, reading time, sorting them out, nighttime routine, Dad does that.
You see, did I not tell you she had everything all mapped out before? Now, guys, behind the scene, I did say she had everything all mapped. So how you're able to get that, you need to give me some of those juice, okay? Because I think this is ideally where most marriages need to get into, where, responsibility.
We didn't start like that. Mm-hmm. We had to learn, okay? So I've been married coming up to 12 years. So I can tell you the first half of the years I've been married, it's not the same as today. Okay. So I think...
Praise the Lord, hallelujah.
So I think growing as well and trying to understand each other, and also communication is very key. If you communicate with your partner, with your husband, with your spouse to say, I am struggling, okay, can you help? I think that goes a long way.
Provided the partner does listen and is empathetic as well, right?
I think most men will, but I think the issue generally is the communication. Sometimes as women, we feel we can do it all. We can't do it all. Absolutely. We need to communicate that, look, I'm drowning here, can you help? I mean, a reasonable husband, a reasonable man would not like his spouse, his wife,
to drown.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, most of the time, yes. I mean, you get the odd ones that really will not, but I think communicating that would help. So I don't think it has it easy, to be honest. I don't think so.
Okay, cool. Right, Falake, I think let's twist just a little bit so we don't go over saying the same thing. Do you think the society has placed on so much responsibility on us? So we kind of live a stereotypical life right now where a lot of things has been passed down to us as women. So by default, it's a woman's responsibility to cook. It's a woman's responsibility to make sure, the child is, whatever it is, to get them ready for school and all of that good stuff. Yeah. Do you think that we are conforming to societal expectation? And if yes or no, what do you think the impact is on us as mothers?
So, I mean, in terms of just, I'm from an African, origin, and what is quite common is you see like raising boys and girls, they raise them quite differently, don't they? Where the girls, have to like go to the kitchen to do chores, help with the cooking, but the boys might be, in the
playing games
in the living room, watching TV. I mean, that's how many of our husbands and fathers were raised. So I feel like that was kind of how they were raised. So that's what they were kind of used to. But our generation, we are kind of changing, the way things have been done. And I must say we've made massive progress compared to how we used to be for our mothers and our grandmothers. So in terms of the pressure, so women growing up, expecting or believing that their worth is in looking after the home, caring for the children, and just keeping everything together. But the men are kind of raised to either be breadwinners or just follow their own individual ambitions. So I think that kind of impacts on us as mothers, because many of these men that were raised in that way were not raised to, being hands-on, being able to, help with, changing the nappy, being able to help with getting the kids ready to school. And for me, I'm very lucky because My husband is extremely supportive because he grew up in a really large family where, you know, everyone supported each other. So I would say I'm not one of those. I'm an exception to that.
I think both of you are
I see so many
exceptional
I have
women,
so many
right?
friends and even colleagues, even those from other heritage, like Indian heritage, where the women spend 4 hours cooking all these meals and the men are there watching football and doing other things. So that impacts on the well-being on us as mothers.
So what can we do? You know, what do you think we can do as mothers? You know, it's Mother's Day week, so hey, we need to start learning some things now.
I think you know what you're doing with your show, Joe Maxwell show, is a really important you know initiative where you're just you know you're able to showcase examples of like good examples, positive role models for people to see that this is an example of, you know, of how men can be supportive, how women can be able to, in quote, have it to a large extent with supportive spouses. So I think we just need to keep talking about this. And where we see like our brothers, like for me, I have a brother who is married. So if I see cases where he's not supporting his wife, I feel like I should be the one calling that out to say, you know, can you support your wife a bit more? Your wife appears to be drowning. So if we as women, we are talking to our brothers, if the mothers are bringing up their sons. Like I've got 2 sons and they're not going to have it easy. They're going to be cooking with me in the kitchen. I'm not going to leave them to be watching football while I'm cooking.
Absolutely,
so I feel like we raising boys have to be very mindful of what we are passing on to the next generation. So I feel like we need to demand for this help, obviously in a really loving and in a positive way, because many of these men, if you check them, there are very few men that actually hate their children. So if you're able to communicate your needs to them to a large extent, you'll be able to get the outcome that you want.
That's wisdom right there, Falakemi. Thanks for sharing that. That's absolutely fantastic, and thanks so much. I've got one question for you guys, so it's a little bit kind of, I'll say, out of scope of this conversation, because whilst you were talking, it kind of took me somewhere else. And the question is, you know, being a mom, how do you deal with, I mean, obviously the children are growing up now. How do you deal with things like children talking back, responding, you know, growing up, talking back wasn't even a word. You know, it wasn't even, your parents wouldn't even tell you not to talk back because it would never even happen for them to tell you not to do it. But nowadays, there's a lot of freedom of speech, and I noticed that children are starting to, children do it a whole lot. Now, they don't do it with their dads. I have noticed the pattern. And with my children, they talk back at me very easily, and I have to correct them.
Mine.
But they've never for once, talked about it. And I've noticed that with a lot of my friends and relationships and friendships as well. How do you guys cope with? Because some moms find it's a struggle. They find it hard to. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to be the African mom. We want, you kind of want to have a good balanced relationship. You want them to be able to talk. You want them to be able to express themselves. So telling them to keep quiet is stopping them from having a freedom of speech. But at the same time, you want to balance things. You just don't want them talking about how. Okay, I'm going to pass that.
It's interesting because the society we live in, there's a lot about freedom of speech and children talking back, and that's because they practicalize it even in school. So when they come home to parents, moms and dads, they tend to do the same. I'm a disciplinarian. I have been told. So the way I do it is you can talk back, but be careful what you say. I educate them, and I tell my husband to do the same. You have to educate them. They can't be talking back. They can't be struggling with us as parents. Like I said, we use a point system in my house. So if you get the most minus points, you don't get your treat at the weekend. Not that I want to deprive them of certain things, but I want them to learn. And that's how to educate them. As a mother, I am struggling already. Then having a child that would talk back or would, portray characteristics of being unruly is unacceptable in my books. In my house, I think my husband is a softie. So they'll probably talk back more to him than to me. They know when they come to me, if the answer is no, they try to sweet talk me into saying yes to certain things, but no. You're not going to get it easy. If I'm meant to say yes, I'll say yes. If I'm meant to say no, I'm going to say no.
So you do have the point. You have the point system,
yes,
and you're disciplinarian. So for you, you've kind of managed the talk back system,
yes,
and it's not so bad. For like, I mean, how have you been able to?
So I think for me, because I've got two really strong and active boys, and I think I'm kind of the opposite in the sense that my boys tend to listen more to my husband, and I just see mommy as that person that, oh, you know, she has to repeat herself 10 times. So I think for me, one thing that helps me is the fact that for my boys, for example, the same thing. I really educate them that, you know, when you talk back to mommy is not happy. Like, that doesn't make me feel good. When you talk back to mom, when you don't listen to me. And when it gets to the point where they've actually done something that I need to discipline them, it might be a timeout where, you know, I send them to their bed, or, you know, I take out all the TVs. They don't have TV time altogether. So I have to take those actions just for them to see the impact of their behavior. And it's even things like even the language, like my 3-year-old, like I'm telling him, can you tidy up? And it's like, mommy, what the heck? I'm like, where did I even come from?
Right?
Like my 3-year-old, I'm like, where did I even come from? And you know, and many of these things they even watch, like they have all this, some of this kids program. There's one called Henry, where the child is so unruly, he talks back at his parents, is so rude. And those are the things that we should really try to find where the kids are getting some of these behaviors from. Because I don't think any child naturally has those behaviors in them. But I feel like boys are quite boisterous to a large extent, because my 6-year always feels he has to be teaching me something. He's saying, oh, mommy, do you know that a woman that has lost her husband is a widow? I'm like, thanks for letting me know. So I feel like boys have like a different personality that you really have to manage. So you have to really guide what they have access to in terms of TV, in terms of who they're in contact with, because you don't want them to pick bad language, like from, you know, TV, from people around them. So you really have to safeguard what they have access to. And, you know, I think you can only do your best as a parent and just keep educating them, because they're still so young. It's a constant journey. You have to keep reminding them, keep correcting them, keep disciplining them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ladies. That is a wealth of knowledge. As a mother, sitting here and just listening to you guys, I think you guys have shared some nuggets that hopefully our viewers at home been able to pick a couple of things, and hopefully you can learn from the points that Buki has told us about, and you can learn about taking things away from the kids to help you. But don't forget that you are not alone. If you're ever thinking that you're alone and you're drowning, we are all drowning together, right? Women support women, and I can tell you for a fact that you are not alone. So thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today. I hope you had a great time as much as I did.
Yes,
thank you
absolutely.
So much. And that's it for us on today's episode. Until next time, if you do have any questions, please email us at info@joemaxwellshow.com. And don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles at Joe Maxwell Show. And that's it for me for today. Happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful moms out there, for all the moms that are drowning, for all the moms that are struggling. Happy Mother's Day. You're doing a fantastic job. Until next time, have a good one.